the most exciting scientific findings of the past half century has been the discovery of widespread trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process which starts at the top of the food chain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. And the classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we're slightly less aware that they give life to many others. Before the wolves turned up, they'd been absent for 70 years. That the numbers of deer, because there was nothing to hunt them, had built up in the Yellowstone Park, and despite efforts by humans to control them, they'd managed to reduce much of the vegetation there to almost nothing. They'd just grazed it away. But as soon as the wolves arrived, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects. First, of course, they killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more significantly, they radically changed the behaviour of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they could be trapped most easily, particularly the valleys and the gorges. And immediately those places started to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees quintupled in just 6 years. Bare valley sides quickly became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood. And as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds and migratory birds started to increase greatly. The number of beavers started to increase because beavers like to eat the trees. And beavers, like wolves, are ecosystem engineers. They create niches for other species. And the dams they built in the rivers provided habitats for otters and muskrats and ducks and fish and reptiles and amphibians. The wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks, more weasels, more foxes, more badgers. Ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carrion that the wolves had left. Bears fed on it too, and their population began to rise as well, partly also because there were more berries growing on the regenerating shrubs. And the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves of the deer. Here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed the behaviour of the rivers. They began to meander less. There was less erosion. The channels narrowed, more pools formed, more riffle sections, all of which were great for wildlife habitats. The rivers changed in response to the wolves. And the reason was that the regenerating forests stabilised the banks so that they collapsed less often, so that the rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and the vegetation recovering on the valley sides, there was less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilised that as well. So the wolves, small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, this huge area of land, but also its physical geography.
All right. This is the video I chose to start this presentation. But ndifuna uke ndiyenike ithuba ukuthi what do you think we can learn kule video le? Yini into esinoyifunda la nge-wolves? Andiyazi wolves yini ngesizulu. NgesiXhosa intoni babukaba?
Umvolovu.
Umvolovu kayingcuka. All right. Yes. Now I want to know ngesizulu yini?
Udube akazi.
Ngiyakhohlwa baba, ngiyakhohlwa.
Mlambo. Wemlambo.
Baba.
Konjeni wolf ngesizulu baba.
Ucha hayibo.
Akuyona Jakalanga.
Angoni impisi.
Awu ayinalo igama lesizulu.
Hayi likhona kodwa
Asikhohli.
ngiyakhohlwa baba.
All right.
Impisi uthi.
Hayi akuyona impisi. Hayi lutho. Akuyona impisi. Impisi hayi. Hayi impisi.
Impisi hayena.
Oh. Hey. All right.
Impisi hayena.
Benifuna ukwazi ukuthi what do you learn out of this story? Story se wolves ezazikhutshiwe parking. Zabe sezibuyiselwa after 70 years. After 70 years zibuyiselwa, they notice ukuthi izininzi izinto ezatshintsha parking.
Airtime ngena into engazama ukufonela.
Oh, airtime babushangazi. Babushangazi sicela umute babushangazi. Yes. Now, what is it that you think you can learn from this, from the introduction of wolves? Kwi-atmosphere le yale park le. Ukuthi ezininzi into ezatshintsha ngenxa yoba kongezwe wolves ezimbalwa. I think they added 4 of them parking, but they've seen a lot of change. But you know that you come out of this story. Yabona ndiyayivula manje i-discussion.
Yeah.
Ndiyayivula ndiyenza i-discussion. Ayiwo. Akukho nto niyibonile la okanye beningezwa. Because sometimes the sound ingabinhle.
Ibizwakala kahle SG.
Oh, all right. Ba umseleko.
Yebo baba.
Hey. Wena ngifuna si-comment la. Yini esinoyifunda la kwesi story sama wolves? Oh.
Ngicabanga baba Mvila.
Ke ba.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ukufika kwazo kulethe uguquko kodwa olisa phambili ipark. Uyabona olilethe development nenqubekela phambili kwipark. Na kwi-ecosystem nje yonke epark.
Yes.
Yeah.
So afike atshintsha i-ecosystem le ye-park.
Yes.
And then yazisa a lot of transformation and change. Not a change embi, but a change enhle. I think into aphuma nayo baba uDube.
Yebo baba.
Wena ubona kanjani?
Iyona baba lengisho ukuthi ukufika kwazo kulethe ushintsho kwi-ecosystem ye-park kodwa ushintsho oluyiqhubela phambili ilokhuzi
ipark le. Yes. Benifuna omnye umuntu mhlawumbe obone something different.
SG.
Eke ba butjala.
Man, please. I think as we saw the video, there were casualties that were caused by the wolves. But as much as we call them casualties, the bigger picture of the park is kakhulu. Even though there were some casualties, but the picture, I think the man who controls the park did not take out Lama wolves when they saw those casualties. They let them continue killing those deers, mindful of the bigger picture of the park itself. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. This is probably one of the idea ngazange ndayicabanga kodwa la ndidlala le video. But I thank you very much for that contribution, Babu Jalvan. It gives another perspective. Yes, thank you very much. Kukhona omunye ofuna ungena lapha. All right. Siyabonga. Yes, there are many things that I think. Firstly, wolves, we don't know them as good animals. Even sikhula, kwakudla ngobaliswa intsomi, andazi intsomi yini ngeSizulu, ngeXhosa kuthiwa zintsomi.
Inganekwa.
Yes. Kwakudla ngobaliswa intsomi, and then once they mention the name of a wolf, you know that something wrong is about to happen. Kuze kuhambe nala enkonzweni sibabize abanye abazalwana abantwana bethu sibabize njenge wolves ezombethe ifele legusha, because wolves, they are known as killers, they are known as bad people, but what is interesting about this one is that their introduction brought about change. And the change, it was a good change. For the first time I hear stories esithetha nge-wolves kahle, because most of the time akuthethwa nge-wolves kahle. Now the person who's telling this story keep on mentioning something ati wolves zi-ecosystem engineers, zitshintshe ecosystem. And there's something that I've also noticed, that sometimes you can have the best of animals that you bought and put them in that park, but you are not going to be able to get the results that you are looking for, because of the ecosystem. So the ecosystem becomes very important. Is one of the things that I pray for, that in your districts you will create an ecosystem of working, an ecosystem of productivity, an ecosystem of making sure that the young people, like the other animal that was also mentioned there, that it creates niches so that kube khona space to move. So imagine if we are leadership but we block the space of young people to move. We now the secretaries, I define them as people who are ecosystem engineers. It is not only about writing to become a secretary. It's not only to have good minutes. It's important to have good minutes, but it's not the only thing that you're supposed to have. As a secretary, you must create spaces and niches for young people or for other people to thrive. So one of the important things that I'm learning here is that again, you don't need numbers to do that, because it says there were few in numbers but they managed to change the whole park. So you don't need numbers, you just need the few that is gonna do what they do. Another thing that I can think that I've noticed from this video is that the wolves were not standing on the banks of the river trying to change how the river should flow, trying to stop erosion, but the wolves started to do what they do best. So one of the things that you will do, or in order for you to bring change in this organization, is to do what you do best. It's not to do what other people should be doing. Do what is yours. Uhlale kwiline yakho and do it very well and excel in it. And don't get complacent. Don't get to accept any substandard. If you're gonna be a secretary of an organization, you have to be like these wolves. Just do your best. And your introduction to this pool, your introduction to Christian Crusaders, your introduction to the district Christian Crusaders, it must mean something in terms of the atmosphere. Young people should feel like this is a church to live in. They must not feel like they want to leave. They must feel like we want to be here and we want to make sure that we change our church for the better, and we elevate and we transform it towards the better way. Only young people can do that with your leadership. So as secretaries, you create those niches, you create those spaces. You are not the one who must do everything. You are not the one. There are young people that still need to surprise us that you are leading. But you are not, if you create those enough spaces, you will cause young people to do even way better than we will do in this 5 years that is coming. So that's one thing that I'm encouraging on. So small in numbers, but having an impact. So impact does not come with you being big in numbers, but impact comes because you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So as secretary, we do not have time to sleep. We have to make sure that our organization runs smoothly and it is run professionally. So our church is finishing 8 years, 100 years in 2027, and I'm thinking that 100 years. I wonder how many people have we lost in these 100 years. How many people are still love this church, but if we create the spaces that allows them to come back, it also gonna be a success that we have. All right, thank you very much. Can you see my presentation now on your screen?
It's clear, SG.
Yes, we can.
Yes. All right. Now the purpose of the training itself and the workshop itself is already mentioned, but I will repeat it for the sake of my presentation. An organization will need to have an organized structure towards its quantitative and qualitative growth. Failure to do this might result in natural organizational decay. All right. One of the things that as a student of leadership is that if we do not have structure, things will fall. There is nothing that stands without structure. Even your body is standing because you have bones. If you didn't have bones, then it was gonna fall, and it will just fall naturally. It did not need anyone from externally to make it fall. So structure is important. And I can tell you, if you're gonna build an organization, you don't build an organization with events, you build organization with structure. For an organization to stand very long, it needs structure. So therefore, that's why we have to workshop you so that you understand structure. Hallelujah. So that's why today, we will spend time so that we understand the issues of structure. It does not help to have secretary who does not know what is their duty in the structure. If we have a structure sabacha, but this structure sabacha must be functional so that the church can benefit from the structure. If the structure is not functional, then the church does not benefit from the structure. It is as good as just dissolve the structure. All right. Now, another purpose is to have full understanding of what are the roles and responsibilities of each committee member. That one, it spells itself out. Iyazitshola nje ukuthi fanele sibe ne-understanding of i-roles ne-responsibilities ze-members ze-committee lethu. And to assist each other in carrying out these responsibilities, because some of the people on a very challenging situation where we say you are a secretary but you don't tell what is expected from you. Secretary. That's why we wanted to do this, to clarify the functionality of the committee, because these are the
Excuse me,
purposes.
Mvila, are you still there?
Yo. I've been
Babu
talking.
Mvila, are you still there? Okay, thanks, man. Thanks.
I've been talking, but I think I'm muted.
Yeah, no.
Can I go back?
Okay.
Angazi abanye banizwile ngibona bathule.
Ubuvakele ngumzuzwana nje lo uye waqhawuka.
Oh, all right.
Okubuvakala.
All right. Now let me deal with the tools of the secretary. The tools. Okay, I'm done with the purpose. The tools of the secretary. I will do this in two, because i-understanding ukuthi abanye abantu basebenzisa ama-computer but abanye abantu basasebenzisa amabhuka, and therefore funeke siyibhalansise so that naba basasebenzisa amabhuka ba-understande. Alright, now siye sifune incwadi ye-minutes ibe khona, be it on a district level or on the circuit level, even the branch level in the church. Fanele kube khona incwadi le yama-minutes, ukubhalwa kuyama-minutes. If ke nine-computer nina nine-laptop lani khona or nine-drive, funeka i-minute folder lapho niyazi ukuthi i-minutes sizigcina lawo. This is one important book for the secretary. The second book is what is called registry book. Registry book kulapho ubhala khona i-members zenu eninazo. At a second level, you write igama lomuntu, ubhale i-surname, ubhale i-date of birth. Kufanele kube khona lo ncwadi leyo. Yeah, registry book. So that wonke umuntu oyimember yenu nibe ne record lakhe. But now in our days we are using what is called database. So a database, I'm busy now creating the database to make sure that I also support the circuits with that kind of a database. It is for the purpose of knowing if someone is our member, we should know them. It's just important. The second one is called a program book or a program folder. A program book is that anytime there's inkonzo zabantu abatsha ezingena on a Friday, esekethini for instance, fanele ma uyojonga esekethini ufike benayo incwadi ye-program apho babhala khona i-program. That's the only proof that uyazibona inkonzo ukuthi ziyangena every Friday or not. So that book is important. But in the case of the district, if I come and check all these programs, nizenza nine conference, nine camps and everything, there must be where you keep them. You can only delete them after 10 years, but you must keep them. All right, so that's why we need that. We need the folder that you keep your programs or the program book. Another one that we now need is, if you are using a computer, you need to have a cloud. You cannot only save things in your computer and hope that the computer is not gonna be stolen, because we know that a computer can be stolen, it can burn. There's what is called backup system. So you must put your stuff on a cloud. I will explain this a little bit further maybe after this presentation of how you can do that. Most of the clouds are free when you're starting. It's only you pay when you have so much information on them. Laptop where it's affordable. If niyakwazi uyithenga nina kwi-description laptop iyithengeni, because speaking the truth akusekho right manje i-discrete ma isubmit into ebhalwe ngesandla. Hawu hayi bazalwane ngekhe. Because now remember we are nxa sithetha nge-discrete sithetha at least it's a higher level. Mhlawumbi from circuit, those circuits that are really struggling, yes, but some circuits they can afford a laptop for themselves. Most circuits can afford a 3,500 laptop, 3,500 rand laptop. If it is affordable, you can get it. Actually, the fact that you are called a circuit, you should be able to afford that. All right. Now let me then deal a little bit with the minutes. The minutes must be written in a minute book. Aye, quit diary. Let me repeat that again. In minutes must be part of a minute book. Aye, quit diary. Because the diary yako, when you are not there, we lose, and then we know that hey, umzana wayibhala kwi-diary yakhe, i-diary yakhe uyitshintshile une-diary entsha new year, wayilahla leya i-diary, uyilahla ne-minutes. Minutes must be written in a minute book, or they must be saved in a PDF format so that they are not changed by mistake. You know, Word is a very unstable software. It's very easy to get things, actually even viruses, to affect your Word minutes. So when you save them, you must have a PDF format. I'm not saying you must not have Word. You must have Word, and also you must have the PDF format, because the most stable form of format. So PDF is the most stable format. Minutes must have date and time of the meeting. You must, on top there, it must say, the meeting started at this time, and then at the bottom there, when you're finished, or even on top there, you can say started this time and it ended at this time. It is very important to note those things. And so the minutes must always have date and time of the meeting. The minutes must be signed by the secretary and the organizer before they are published. Now this is important. Before you publish the minutes, they must be signed, because funeke u-organizer azifunde ayibone ukuthi zizona lezi minutes before zipublishwe to everyone. So please adhere to that. Attendance register must always be circulated and signed by the attendees during the meeting. This is very important, because sometimes you want to use these minutes for a bank purpose, or you want to use the minutes for any legal as a legal document. If it's gonna be a legal document, these minutes, they must be signed. So always you must circulate that these are the people who are in attendance for this meeting. Minutes must be circulated as soon as possible so that the actions can be carried out. Ungabhali minutes ogquba uyo circulator next year when the other meeting is about to continue, or there's a planned meeting for next year. The only time we get the minutes is next year. You must get them as soon as possible so that you can always refer to them when you have to do some actions. That's why we do that. All right. Now the registry or database management, which is very key. I remember when Ukozi called me, they asked, how many are you? They asked me a simple question like that, how many are you? Yo, Do you know how difficult is that question when you do not have a database? I was like, maybe we are 15,000. Someone was saying, no, we are 60,000. Another person was saying we are 600,000. And I was like, hey, which one is which? So that's why database is important. You must know how many you are at your circuit and at your district level, so that you can see that in terms of attendance into the conferences, maybe 60% is attending, 30% is attending, and then you ask yourself why more people are not coming to our conferences. What can we change? And then you can strategize. So this data, it helps you to strategize. This is what I've came up with. These are the forms that I will circulate. These are the forms that I will circulate. All right, let me just, I want to point some things there. All right. Can you see the cursor there as I'm pointing? I don't know if, can you see the cursor? Can someone see where I'm pointing? Hey, I didn't say that. Oh.
Yes, I can see. I can see that.
Yes. This is what is called QR code. So what we will do, we'll circulate this. We will after they pass, for sure. We will circulate this so that people can scan and be able to fill in this information, and the information will then be live nationally and the district as a person is joining the organization, so that we have a database, and not just names and surname, but to have information in terms of email address, physical address, that we can be able to communicate with our members where it's needed. So this is now gonna be the new form that I'm busy with, so that we can have this database and management, the database management in order. Now, so the first one is for the people who just got born again, and the second one is for the people who want to be members or who are already members, and or those who are visiting us. Sibe nabo abazalwane mhlambe athi ayi ndifuna ukhonza nani for the period of 3 years, so they are kind of visiting but they are with us, benza yonke into, bakhupha izishumi konke. So this it then, when you scan with your phone, it then take you to the online form, and then the online form, once you fill it, we then have information in terms of circuits. So we'll have circuits information, knowing that KwaMakhuta they have so many people, KwaDukuza they have so many, and all that. So that's why I'm trying to make sure that we standardize our way of database. All right. So new members must be administered at the circuit level. Then the information must come out to our database. It comes automatically, and so we have a new converts database, and then we have membership database, and then people must be assured that their information will be safe with the church in writing. So if you see there, at the bottom there, this is where we do our Poppy Act. We're making sure that we see our information here is only going to be used for church purposes. It's not going to be used for any other purpose. Abazobona sebefonelwa ngabantu bamatyala. Information here is safe with us. All right. Now the duties. So a secretary is an administrator and the communications officer of the organization. Is an administrator, work very closely with the chairperson to plan and organize internal and external meetings. So a meeting, if you organize uthi funeka sibe ne meeting ngale date, then the secretary makes it happen. Otherwise, then the meeting never happens. So secretary must make it happen. The secretary does not call a meeting. The secretary communicate the call from the organizer. That is important, so that people who are in meeting, once the organizer does not know the meeting, that meeting is not legal. If organizer does not know the meeting, if organizer maybe did not delegate his deputy, that meeting is not legal. So if organizer is not going to be there, then the organizer will delegate to the deputy, and then the deputy will speak to the secretary, and then the meeting will happen. So internal and external meeting. So in other words, if there is a meeting that is supposed to be done between Assemblies of God and African Gospel Church, also that meeting, as a secretary, you make sure that it happens, and it happens according to lendlela funa ngayo organizer. All right, to ensure that each meeting is valid and effective. As I'm saying, there are meetings that are invalid. Meetings as ngabizwanga organized, they are not valid. Even if anivani nayo organizer, at some point he must be the one who's calling the meeting. He will call the meeting, and then the meeting will start, and all that. Then you will disagree with him, but he being will be a meeting. To maintain and control all Christian Crusaders event. Now this is key and important, because all events that you will have at a district level, all events, be it a fundraising event, be it the conference, be it the secretary, is to maintain and control that event. If the event is not going well, it is because the secretary is failing. So do not point it to anyone. If the event is not going well, you are failing, and make sure that you improve. All right, to ensure that all documents, including reports and correspondence, are available and are in order. Now I remember that. Okay, I think I will keep that. I'll keep that in mind, and I will say it later. So make sure that when we want reports, if we want reports in your district and you can't give us a report, the secretary is failing. Secretary, make sure that all documents, including reports and correspondence, are available and in order. I must not ask for a document and uti disayo kangela, and then it takes you 2 days. No, it means you might be having the document, but they are not in an order. There is no order in how you're filing. That's why it takes you too long to bring information that is easy, that can be easily provided. To keep record and keep files of all organizations' archives and produce them when required. So the files, now this is something else I think I didn't put on the tools. Now you must keep the file. You must have a file. If you are using the old way, you must have a file where you put all correspondences from if you are a district, you must keep all national correspondences on the file. If you write a letter, we have what is this? Like minutes that we sent for you you must make sure that you have a file where you put this. It's just that I'm not strict. Actually, we're supposed to, when we're having a meeting, you're supposed to be coming with that file already printed, the minutes of the previous meeting, all the necessary documents. They are supposed to be in that file, even for other years. That information must be there. Then you destroy it after 10 years. To prepare and send out notices of meetings and draft together with chairperson, ExCo members, the agenda and distribute them. So the agenda, you prepare it, but you are not doing it alone. You are doing it with chairperson and all the other ExCo members. But you are then responsible to distribute the agenda. To be available in assisting and training the circuits, branch secretaries on administration. So this one, you must be available to train, because remember, sometimes circuits won't give you people that are ready. You need to be able to train these people so that they are ready to deal with the work of the secretary.